Hi, I'm Gary. In today's video we'll talk about yoga. Today I want to tell you what yoga is. Why does a person need it? What are the main three original sources of yoga? And what are the main schools of yoga? In conclusion, I'll give some recommendations on how to check the authenticity of any yoga school and how to avoid falling into the hands of yoga charlatans and various kinds of info-gurus. This way you can save your time, years of life and nerves. So stay with me now, and we get started. What is yoga and how to check the authenticity of a yoga school? And we'll start with the very basics of what yoga is in general. Yoga is a holistic practice that originated in ancient India. It combines physical postures, breath work, meditation, ethics, and spirituality. The word yoga means to connect, symbolizing the harmony of mind and body, individual and universal consciousness. It promotes discipline, balance, and inner peace. It covers various practices such as asanas, pranayamas, meditation, philosophy, mantras, rituals. This is the path to self-realization and union with the higher self or divine consciousness. A subject such as yoga is often associated with an aspect such as Tantra. In nutshell, Tantra is the same as yoga, only it is more connected with rituals. Unfortunately, in the modern world, the concept of Tantra is distorted and is usually associated with tantric sex. The ideas of tantric sex as a means of enlightenment, liberation or raising the Kundalini are not confirmed in primary sources. Tantra and yoga are closely related, and as a rule, each school of yoga includes aspects of Tantra to one degree or another. A separate video should be made on this topic, maybe I'll do it later. There are several yogic schools or traditions, each with its own focus, methodology, and philosophy. Here are some of the most famous yoga styles like Bhakti yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Kundalini yoga, Hatha yoga, Raja yoga, Kriya yoga, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, etc. A separate video should be made about Patanjali. It's a very important person in yoga tradition. Patanjali, known in Eastern philosophy, was the author of the Yoga Sutras, which are the basis of classical and modern yoga. This philosophy is based on the concept of Ashtanga, which means eightfold path. This path includes disciplines such as dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi, a state of bliss or enlightenment, which together form the practice known as Raja Yoga. A number of ancient texts and sources state that Patanjali, known as the author of the Yoga Sutras, is an incarnation of Adishesha, who is known as the royal serpent, eternal assistant of Lord Vishnu. One such source is Perumanalur, a Sanskrit text that dives deep into the life of Patanjali and his connection with Adishesha. Another source is Sri Patanjali Charita, which also confirms this connection. In addition, many schools have such concepts as Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. These are just some of the most famous yoga schools. However, it is worth noting that schools may use different names, have similarities in their teachings or practices, and have variations depending on region or teacher. And there are a huge number of derivative schools of yoga which may have different names that differ from those listed above. These are basic schools of yoga based on the Vedic teachings, and specifically on the ancient Sanskrit texts. There are other schools which are not based on the Vedic teachings, for example, various Buddhist directions. Although Buddhism does not refer directly to the Vedas, however, in it some of the main postulates have something in common with the Vedic teachings, since according to the Vedic scriptures such as Puranas, Buddha is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In general, it's necessary to make a separate video on the philosophical systems of various schools of yoga. The philosophical system of yoga practicing transcendental knowledge are divided into three main aspects of comprehension of the Absolute, such as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, these are three levels of comprehension of the Absolute, according to the Puranas. Now let's consider practically how yoga schools are divided into these categories. And so we begin with Brahman. Advaita, or the philosophy of non-duality, is one of the schools of Vedanta that holds that the only true reality is the Absolute, formless spirit or Brahman, and that all the diversity of the world is an illusion. These are basically schools of yoga based on the philosophy of Advaita or unity. This includes such well-known schools as Kundalini Yoga, Kriya Yoga, Raja Yoga, and many other schools, as well as the well-known ancient philosophical teaching as Yoga Vasishtha. Basically, the Parampara, that is the succession of the teachers in these schools, originate from Shankaracharya. Sri Shankaracharya, also known as Adi Shankara or Shankara Bhagavatpada, was an eminent Indian philosopher and sage who lived during the 8th and 9th centuries. He is the founder of the Shankara school, one of the most important schools of Vedanta philosophy. He founded 4 monastic orders called Madhas. These orders are located in different regions of India and are important centers of spiritual education and practice. First one is Sringeri Sharda Pitham, located in Sringeri, Karnataka. Second one is Dwaraka Pith. The order is located in the city of Dwaraka, Gujarat. Third one, Jyotir Math, located in Himachal Pradesh. And fourth one is Govardhana Pith. The order is based in Puri, Odisha. These 4 orders play an important role in maintaining and spreading the teachings of Shankara and Advaita Vedanta throughout India. Shankaracharya built his teaching on the teachings of Buddha. He spoke to his students, "Buddha led you to Nirvana and I'll lead you to Brahma Nirvana." According to Vedic sources such as Puranas, Shankaracharya is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, one of the main 3 deities in Vedas. And so the next level of yoga, which is the next step in comprehension of the highest reality, is Paramatma. Those schools of yoga that study this aspect are quite rare nowadays. They were common in previous eras. The essence of this level is to realize the presence of the Super Soul or Supreme God in your heart. At present, schools based on Bhakti Yoga can be attributed to this aspect of comprehension of the truth. That is, all Vaishnava yoga schools, along with other aspects, study this aspect of the Almighty. The next level is Bhagavan, also studied by Vaishnava yoga schools. These are widely known schools of Bhakti Yoga in India and in Western countries all over the world. The 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas are the 4 traditional Vaishnava schools or teachings that have a direct line of succession from historical saints and deities to modern teachers. These Sampradayas are known as Brahma Sampradaya, Shri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Kumara Sampradaya. First one is Brahma Sampradaya. This is the lineage that starts from Brahma, the first creation of Vishnu. This line includes many famous saints and teachers, including Madhvacharya. Second one is Shri Sampradaya. This lineage starts from goddess Lakshmi, Shri, the consort of Vishnu. An important teacher in this lineage was Ramanujacharya, who formulated the Vishishtadvaita school of philosophy. Third one is Rudra Sampradaya. This line starts from Shiva, Rudra. Vishnu Swami and Vallabhacharya were iconic figures in this tradition. And the fourth one is Kumara Sampradaya. This lineage comes from the 4 Kumaras, the sons of Brahma, who remained forever young. Nimbarkacharya was a key teacher in this tradition. So, each of these traditions has its own unique philosophies and practices. Also, they all affirm the supremacy of Vishnu or Krishna. And so we dismantle the schools of yoga and the philosophical systems of the various yoga schools. Now consider how these schools are related to Vedas. So, previously, in other eras, Vedic knowledge or the Vedas were transmitted orally by the Brahmins in the form of hymns. Approximately 5,000 years ago, the sage Vyasadeva or Badarayana wrote them down and made his commentary on them, which is called the Vedanta Sutra. Vyasadeva is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu according to the Puranas, and he is also the guru in the Parampara coming from Brahma. The Vedanta Sutra, also known as Brahma Sutra, is one of the three main texts of the Vedanta system of philosophy in Indian culture. This text consists of short aphorisms or sutras that discuss the name of Brahman, the ultimate reality, and Atman, the individual soul. The Vedanta Sutra develops the ideas presented in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and serves as an important source for many commentaries and interpretations of these texts in the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Shankaracharya also commented on the Vedanta Sutra of Vyasadeva. He made his commentary on this work. His interpretation was based on the philosophy of Advaita, which led to the development of his own version of the philosophical system, which is rooted in the Vedas. However, also they are based on the Vedas. The system cannot be fully recognized as Vedic systems, as they present the Vedanta Sutra in a different light from that intended by Vyasadeva. Shankaracharya intentionally distorted the Vedanta Sutra. On this topic I can make a separate video by demand. So, we sorted out a bit of the theory of yoga. Why I'm telling all this? The yoga school should be based on the Vedic teachings and to have a parampara ascending to the Vedas. If so, then such a school is authoritative. Absolutely right. The basis of any school of yoga must be rooted in the Vedic teachings, because it is from there that the foundation of yoga comes. Parampara, or direct line of transmission of knowledge, from teacher to disciple, going back to the Vedas, allows you to maintain the purity and truth of the teachings. This guarantees its credibility and reliability. After all, a deep understanding of yoga is impossible without an understanding of Vedic philosophy and culture. It is like a tree. The roots are the Vedic teachings, the trunk is the parampara, and the branches and leaves are the various aspects of yoga that are revealed to the adept as he progresses on the path of yoga. There are a huge number of different schools of yoga. If you faced with the choice of any school, then you need to find out which guru teaches in this school, who his teacher is, and to which parampara he belongs. The parampara should lead to one of the four sampradayas, or Shankaracharya, or Patanjali, or Buddha. Also, Buddhism is not a Vedic teaching. It is also related to the Vedas, since the founder of Buddhism, Gautama Buddha, according to the Puranas, is the incarnation of Vishnu. Thus, Buddhism is also related to the Vedas. If the parampara is lost in antiquity or is missing, then such a school cannot guarantee 100% result of yoga practice. In addition to reputable yoga schools, there are a huge number of different pseudo-yogic schools or even sects that misinterpret the postulates of yoga and simply manipulate their followers to obtain wealth and fundraising. Such pseudo-teachings are called apasiddhanta, that is, which is the opposite of siddhanta, that is, pure teaching. In addition, even in reputable yoga schools, there may be various teachers who are not properly authorized or not qualified enough, and they'll also manipulate and use their followers as they have some material motivations. In order to recognize such pseudo-yoga gurus, one must study the scriptures or approach yoga guru whom you trust in enough, otherwise it's quite a risky business. I'm not saying that all non-reputable schools are useless. As a rule, the teachings in such schools are greatly simplified and distorted, so they can appeal to various yogic concepts while grossly violating the essence of the original teachings. Or there may be some new yoga systems that are not based on Vedic Siddhanta. All this may or may not give any result, but one thing is for sure, such schools do not lead to the final goal of yoga described in the Vedas, but only have a superficial result or simply collect funds from their adherents. Teachers in such schools treat their activities as a business for a comfortable existence at the expense of naive people, sometimes traumatizing the psyche of his followers, leaving them disappointed and lost. Therefore, before entering any yoga school, it's necessary to carefully study the issue, collect information about this school, check its parampara, check the guru you are going to accept for belonging to this parampara, and communicate with other followers to ask them about him, about this guru. The guru must be engaged in this practice for a prolonged period in order you were able to collect all needed information about him. And the guru you are about to accept should resonate with your inner convictions and resonate with your heart. Otherwise, there is no need to accept a guru and may be even harmful for you. One should not be in a hurry to accept a guru. There must be a real need to accept a guru. But from other side, real guru may boost your yoga practice by bringing it on the next and considerable level, which you cannot reach by your own efforts. So, I think this is all for today. Thanks for watching. Leave comments below the video. Stay tuned. Good luck everyone.